Before I sing this last song, I want to give testimony to God's many works in my life, if I can get through it. I'm going to take us back to just 3 short years ago to 2018. 2018 was possibly one of the most challenging yet rewarding years of my life. We were sailing through, content, raising our family, carefree, optimistic about the future, when storms started to brew early on. In February of 2018, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. The doctors has told us that the cancer most likely had spread to my lymph nodes, and given the grade of the cancer that it was, I had the most aggressive form, and it was the type of cancer that was the most resistant to treatments. I received this news on a Friday. By that next Tuesday, Nathan had lost his job of 16 years from layoffs. To say that we were thrust into complete chaos was an understatement. We were completely overwhelmed by the fear, the worry, and the multitude of decisions that had to be made very quickly. Psalm chapter 46 became my song very early on in 2018. When I was afraid or weary, I often recited verse 1, which says, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." Prayer had never seemed so sweet, nor had it ever become so urgent. Folks were praying from all across the country, the community, including this church. Through reaffirmed faith and trust, I forged ahead, blind to what was to come, and not knowing what was right around the corner. 3 weeks later, you guys know that we like to camp. We're avid campers. So we decided that we were going to go out of town for a weekend. Before the long-dreaded treatment plan started, before I lost my hair and became sick and just, unable to go. And we packed up our camper, and my dad and my stepmom packed up their camper, and off to a local campground we went. Over that weekend while we were out camping, specifically on that Saturday, my dad collapsed and suffered a massive stroke. He was rendered unconscious, never to wake again. Excuse me. At that point, the storms had completely ripped my life apart at the ripe old age of 35. The seas were rough and the swells were so big that I just couldn't catch a breath. I can remember coming home from the hospital the night that Dad collapsed and just, sobbing uncontrollably, and I felt as if I were drowning. I did not know how much more that I could take. I was completely defeated. My urgent prayers were pleas for mercy and of grace. I needed His help. Exhaustion had set in, but I just couldn't sleep. It was around 3 a.m. at that time, and I decided to turn on the TV to try to take my mind off of things and to see if I could drift off to sleep. And when the picture tube came on, there stood Dr. Charles Stanley, and he was beginning a sermon. On the screen in big bold letters was a sermon title, "When Facing Storms in Our Life." The message through God's word teaches that through faith, hope, and peace, the Lord will help us navigate the storms when they come. I knew then that the Lord was listening and He was hearing my cries. I knew that He was with me throughout the storm. I knew I just needed to be still and allow His peace to calm the storms and to comfort me. Psalm 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God." 2 days after my dad had collapsed, that Monday morning, I was scheduled to start my first round of chemotherapy treatments to possibly save my life, when that became the day that my dad took the last breath of his. Again, Psalm 46. It became a life preserver for me as I held on desperately. Throughout the continued trials and tribulations, God's amazing grace and His mercy was revealed to me so many times that year. No matter what the outcome was going to be, He gave me the strength and the courage to fight the battles and to brave the storms with such meekness. I witnessed his blessings so many different ways, from the folks that he put into my path along the way, my medical team, my family members, my church family, even the other patients in the cancer ward. The biggest blessing was the very early response of the chemotherapy treatments against this high-grade tumor that I had. No matter what, I had the peace with those unexpected storms and the unknowns of what was to come. By his grace, Nathan was back to work quickly. Through his mercy, my dad received a very short suffering, and ultimately I was delivered from the cancer. I do have scars and battle wounds, as they are a reminder of the Lord's plans for me. He used me as a beacon that year so that others could see the hope that is through him. His light continues to shine through me today as he continues to bless me in so many ways. When I look back, 2018 was one of the most challenging years of my life. But if it weren't for the storms, I don't know that I could stand here today and testify to the power of his love and even to the power of answered and unanswered prayers. Thank God for the storms. You see, if it weren't for them, we wouldn't be able to see the rewards and the beauty that is revealed to us after the rain. May this last song of the evening be a blessing as I thank him for those storms. It's a blessing when I see the dark clouds parting, when the rain is gone and the sun's breaking through. I anticipate when life will be just normal, just to close my weary eyes and rest in you. My heart can rest so easy when there's blue skies, when the wind is gone and the rain's not in sight. How I long to hang my sword above the mantle, away from harm and distant from the fight. But I wouldn't know your peace without the hard times, or be thankful for relief without the pain. I wouldn't love the light if it were not for darkness, or appreciate the sun without the rain. How could I understand forgiveness without failure, or feel the warmth of love without the bitter cold? How could I hold your healing hands without affliction, and be blessed to see your mercies all unfold? Sure, it's a blessing to be safe, secure, and warm. But Lord, I want to thank you for the storm. I can imagine as old Peter sat in prison, he may have paced the floor with chains around his feet. And mind the devil taunted as he whispers, the battle's lost and this is your defeat. But then his mind went back to that night in the tempest, when the master spoke and the winds and seas obeyed. And he remembered that storm calming all around him. He could rest in that dark prison unafraid. just to see your mercies all unfold. Sure, it's a blessing to be safe, secure, and warm. But Lord, I want to thank you for the storm. If my life were free of trials, Lord, I'd lose my view of you. They're sweet trophies that remind me of all you do. Sure, it's a blessing to be safe, secure, and warm. But Lord, I want to thank you for the storm. I'm still safe, secure, and warm. And Lord, I want to thank you for the storm.